Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Pot and Win Omaha for Fun and Profit. This is a video series where we're going to be going into the nuts and bolts of how to win at Pot Limit Omaha um, through the use of a number of tools, starting with a live play video here where I'm going to be playing 3 tables and just talking you through my thought process. You can get some perspective on how I view the game. See table 3. Um, there's been a straddle, so that's one feature of these games is that players can straddle. They do have that option, which is very nice. Obviously, it makes the game play bigger. You're essentially playing with twice as much money put in before cards are dealt. So you go from playing during that hand from playing a 20-40 game to a 40-80 game or 50 cent $1 game. Obviously, it's very much to your advantage if people are straddling. They're choosing to put in extra dead money just in the hopes of getting a bit more action. You don't want to straddle yourself. So don't do that. Let the other people straddle. But it's definitely a good sign if you're at a straight table where there is a lot of straddling. It can be especially advantageous when you're short. Like if you're at a 2-5 game, $2, $5 blinds, you have $200, and there's straddles and restraddles very frequently. You're basically guaranteed to get huge action when you pick up a big hand. When you pick up, aces, you can just usually raise more than half your stack or all in. Even if there's a single raise, if you're playing 200, it's straddled, restraddled, right? If somebody makes a single raise to 70, you can put in the whole 200. So it's very nice when you do find these games, when you do have players straddling for you. So table 2 here, trying to do a little table starting and fairly loose aggressive opponent. So should make for some interesting decisions. Heads up, you want to play very loose. You want to be raising every hand, calling every hand before the flop. I could probably check back here on table 2. I'm going to opt instead for bet stack off and stack off on this turn, whatever he does. Ooh, kind of unfortunate run into 3 9s, but it's the way it goes. It's the way the cookie crumbles. Picking up 9-9-7-3. Definitely going to defend. And then check. Probably check call. Maybe check raise. I think I'll check raise stack off. I mean, it's a pretty dynamic board, and while I probably have the best hand right now, there's so many cards that can come and beat me. He's probably c-betting pretty liberally. Table 1, just going to go ahead and fold, although I would have opened. Table 2, I'll check back and probably fold to a turn bet, check again, fold to a river bet. Got some showdown value here. I'm less inclined to semi-bluff when I'm in position. So here, check my option, and bet fold the flop. Seems reasonable. Bottom pairing gutter. Check fold the turn unless that's really small. Check fold the river. Turns out 4 queens the best hand, so kind of close. I think on table 1 I'm going to fold. We have a pretty loose button. have an interesting spot here on table 2 because on the small blind on the button, so it's it's just how they do when a third player joins. So table 3 flopping top 2. Table 2 could have opened that hand, but for a conservative open fold. And glad I did. These guys all have some pretty nice hands. Table 3 flop top 2. Definitely with less than 1 SPR left on the turn. I mean, I always try to run it the maximum amount of times because this reduces your variance, and that's a good thing. So, got the first run, got the second run, but can we scoop? No. 1 for him's fine. Table 2, you can see this guy's pretty loose passive, so because of that, I'm just going to fold the flop. I think the defend is good. 2 to 1 in position. Even if he does have a little bit of a tighter range, you always have the odds to call with anything half decent. And 9764 is a hand that it's not going to fare worse against a tight range. It's not a great hand, but table 1 against loose passive players. I think this limp would be fine against these this guy in the straddle. I think I prefer an open fold. Table 2, just going to check back, give up. I mean, we're 3-way. And folding to the lead for the loose passive player. Table 1, I'm going to go ahead and over to limp. I would raise if the 8 was a 9 if I had just a little more playability. Pretty tempted to come over the top, but I'm so deep with this guy that I'm just going to go ahead and call. I think that this player here, you can see is 66-27, so very loose aggressive. I think he's raising out of the big blind with a high frequency. And I think he's only got a 50 big blind stack to start the hand, so I think I would do quite well 3-betting him just because he's only going to have aces, a small fraction of the time relative to other hands that he could have. So, I mean, you got to be really careful just trying to stack off with kings because the problem can be like if you're against a 10 or 11% range, yeah, he's only going to have aces 2.5%, 3% of the time. But the problem is you're going to be in worse shape that 2.5%, 3% of the time. Significantly worse shape than you will be the other 70% of the time when you're, a slight favorite or a slight favorite against like a lot of his hands. Like he has double suited hand with an ace, you're not going to be much of a favorite of many with your kings. So you want to be a little bit careful about when you choose to stack off with OK kings. But if a player's raising 27% of the time, then I think you're pretty much good to go. Now it's possible that he's raising at a lower frequency here. So table 3, I'm going to go ahead and bet fold my 9s, but I'm going to prepare it's a dry board. SPR is still quite high, and I'm going to go ahead and bet fold the turn, I think. It's not a problem, even though I do have a flush draw, so I do want to see the river. Hands he's check raising, I'm very little equity against anyway. I'm going to opt for a click it back here, tip 1, just increase the pot ever so slightly. I think this is a good spot here for a small c-bet. I mean, the board is just so dry. So we can price out like all his backdoor draws and get a hand like Ace Queen 6-6 Rainbow to call us. So I mean, maybe there's a case for raising or for betting the turn as well. You got to be concerned though. Like even though I bet small, like usually somebody calls you on a King 5-5 Rainbow board, they have a pretty strong continuing range. Like because there's no draws, you got to think like 5x is a real possibility. But I do like a small sizing there. I think that it's going to be optimal pretty much all the time, no matter what you're betting with. If you have, pocket kings, then obviously we're ecstatic to price people in. And even if you have the 5, you usually want to sort of feel out the situation, see where you're at, in sort of an inexpensive fashion. So you don't want to just blow up the pot and then you're only getting action from hands that crush you. And it's important. You gotta take into consideration. How can you extract the most from a hand that you have beaten? All right, so that's it for PLO Fun and Profit episode 2. I hope you enjoyed it. We're gonna have a ton of content coming out in the next month, including our 2 hours of footage every day. So do check out our channel again. Come back, subscribe. If you're into Parliament in Omaha, you want high quality content for free. That's our mission. We're gonna give you live play videos. We're gonna do session review, hand review. How to set goals in poker, how to move up in limits, how to improve your game, how to schedule your time efficiently in order to maximize your profitability. We're going to be talking about mental game. We're going to be doing in-depth analysis of specific situations. We're going to talk about exploitative play and how can you extract the most from loose opponents, game selection. There's a ton of material we're going to be covering, and we would be delighted if you would tune in, check it out. Feel free to share our videos on social media. That would really help us out a lot and enable us to continue to put in the time to bring this content to you. And thank you so much for tuning in. And if you have any questions, comments, you want to talk about any of the spots that came up in the video, did I make a mistake? Was there an alternative line? Just your thoughts and opinions. We'd love to hear from you in the comments section. And thanks again for tuning in.